It's July 25th, 2022. This is the shape of my garden as of today. Last year I put in the walking path, or the walkway, and the paving stones, and sowed the fescue, and it was pretty patchy in its germination because I got it in late. So this year I let it grow and make seed stalks, which here are still some, because I wanted it to produce seed so it can reseed itself, so I wouldn't have to buy more to fill in the places that it didn't germinate. And I didn't get it mowed, so all these yellow things you're seeing, or most of the yellow tan things you're seeing, are actually seed stalks that fell over. So hopefully in the next few days I'll get the mower out and get that mowed off. And this is a fescue blend from Prairie Moon Nurseries that's sold as an eco grass. You only need to mow it twice a year, but you can mow it more often if you want it to stay short. But I specifically selected this because I want to attract snakes to the garden. I have mice that keep getting in my car and chipmunks and stuff around, so I thought if I had some snakes here it would help keep those down. But normally it would look like this without all those yellow seed stalks. It's actually quite pretty when it gets tall and flops over. So I thought that tall flopped over look would attract snakes, give them places to hide. Anyway, so this is my garden. I have 4 kinds of peppers there, and a tomato that's not doing as well as the other tomatoes, but it's the one that I most want to taste. It's a variety called True Colors that the person who developed this from a hybrid cross and then grew it out to make it stable, so now it's open pollinated. I know her from a tomato group on the internet, and bought some seeds of one of her creations. The water bottles I put in the middle, I put drilled holes in the bottoms. My intention was to water through the top, so those water will slowly go out the holes in the bottom and I wouldn't have to get the leaves wet to try to minimize diseases. So far in my attempts to fill it, I realized that I put too many holes in and it leaks out as fast as I'm filling it, but at least it does keep the water off the leaves. So anyway, so we have peppers. I made these hang tags yesterday. So we got that, and this, I don't know how to pronounce those. An ace, and that one in the back is called blot. I'm testing 2 kinds of scallions, or bunching onions. This is triple curled parsley, marjoram, which I'm letting go to seed because I'm almost out of seed. This is flower bed that's supposed to attract pollinators, predatory insects. I had a lot of things last year that I tried to grow that didn't germinate, so there's a lot of empty space that has some weeds coming up, and so they're not anywhere near what I expected. I actually have 4 beds that I turned into flowers, so not anywhere near what I expected, but it's a work in progress. This is Mokum carrots in the back. The last time I Mokum seeds in the front row is Yaya carrots. This is a eggplant I bought called Fairy Tales. These 3 are ones that I started winter sowed that started late. Antigua, I don't know if that's right pronunciation. And Alaska nasturtiums. I'm trying to select out the bright orange colored flowers. So these are from seeds that I had last year. Wait, no, that's not right. That bed are the seeds I had last year. This was a new pack. I planted them in 2 beds, and almost half of them came up with solid bluish green leaves. They weren't correct. They're supposed to be this variegated leaves. So the seed company that sold the seed had some incorrect seeds in the package. This cage did have homemade pickles cucumbers, but it wasn't doing so well and it wasn't producing yet, even though my other 2 varieties are producing. So I pulled them yesterday and I sowed some more of the variety that's producing a lot. So that was just yesterday. This is Kentucky Wonder pole beans, and it's just starting to flower. You might be able to see the white flowers in there. So it's much later than the other 2 varieties that I'm growing, but I grew it last year and I liked it, so I thought I'd try it again. This, I did have some broccolini in here, but I pulled them out and I just sowed some white icicle radishes that's supposed to help repel certain insects from cucumbers and squash and stuff. So I just sowed those again because I had pulled them out of other beds earlier. Plant in the background is Kosovo. It's a type of oxheart tomato. Sweet banana pepper. This is my flat leaf parsley. This is the kind I normally grow, but I'm comparing it to the triple curled because my husband really likes parsley. I could care less one way or the other, but I wish the plant was smaller. It takes up too much room when it gets going later in the year. So I was hoping the triple leaf would be a smaller plant and I could grow that in the future, and so far it is. So we'll see. That's basil, I forget what it's called. Emerald something towers, I think. And this is a Greek basil. It was advertised as having really tiny leaves, which is what I want. But these leaves are just as big as bush basil and another small basil that I grow. It's not any smaller, so I'm not very happy about that, but at least I have basil. And there's some cilantro in the back, and I pulled the deal out that was in the back of that. Let's see, another carrot called St. Valerie, and they're good grasshoppers. St. Valerie. I need to harvest my carrots, which I hope to do in the next couple days. And then I'm growing 4 kinds of sweet peppers back here to compare them. I started them from seed from winter sowing, and they got a late start, so I don't know that I'll get any fruit from them, but if I get at least one from each to compare them, I'll be happy. Oh, I do see there's a flower there. That's good. So we got Nick's Thin Skin, Early Red, Gypsy, which we've grown before, and Frank's. I like to grow varieties which aren't all that terribly common, so a lot of these varieties are not common. In the back I have Boston pickling cucumber. It's not doing as well as the other variety that I'm growing, so I'll probably pull that plant too, or those plants. There's 3 plants there. And this is, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, karma mint maybe? Pole bean, purple potted. I've been harvesting them for, I don't know, 2 weeks maybe? I've had 3 pretty nice harvests from them. I picked them yesterday, but I see there's more that needs to be picked today, so I'll do that this evening when it cools off. Oh, and I have alyssum planted back here, again for predatory insects and pollinators. And then this bed, when I selected those nasturtium seeds last year from the Alaska mix, I selected some that were bright orange that I planted down there, and then some that were more of an apricot orange, so I planted them here. And I'm not liking this color as much as the bright orange, so I probably won't collect seed from them this year. I did have broccolini planted here, but I pulled them and I planted some radish seeds today. Plant in the back is Glacier. I've already harvested 2 tomatoes off of it so far. And there's a cabbage moth. Another sweet banana pepper. Common chives. I divided my plant this year, and this was just a small section in the early spring, and it's really already increasing in size. French tarragon, summer savory that I need to cut back and dry the leaves. Dill, I grew 3 different kinds of dill this year and 2 kinds of cilantro. And this one I'm letting go to seed. This is actually an unknown variety from a plant that popped up in my garden years ago. And I collected seed from it. And this year I was comparing it to 2 named varieties. Teddy and, what was the other one? Teddy and Compado. And this one germinated first, had a higher rate of germination, and I thought the flavor was stronger than the other 2. Well, it's definitely stronger than Teddy. I thought Teddy was pretty bland. Anyway, so this bed are Yaya carrots. Yaya. When I grew Yaya and Mokum last year that are supposed to be similar, this was the one that I liked the best, even though they were both good. So this is the one I'll probably continue growing. And the St. Valerie in that bed there is a longer days to maturity, more of a storage type. So I'm growing that one this year just to have some for storage. I don't know how you pronounce that. Tostada de Granda, I don't know. And Rosa Bianca. Those I started from seed, winter sowed, and got a late start. And this is Oriental Express, and I've already harvested probably 5 eggplants so far. I missed this yesterday. This is from that plant in the back. That's Vortex green beans, my first year growing that variety, and so far we're really liking them. I just picked them yesterday and I see there's already more on there. Definitely growing that next year. This tomato, or this cucumber, is my favorite of the 3 varieties that I'm growing this year. It's called National Pickling. There's some cucumbers on there that I'll pick this evening. But I've been watering it and not paying attention on keeping the leaves dry, and I think that was a huge mistake because it's obviously in decline. But I went ahead and sowed 4 more seeds elsewhere today, so I'll have some more to grow when those are gone. Actually, I planted 3 seeds in the cage down there yesterday and 4 seeds today somewhere else, so I should have plenty of cucumbers if they all germinate. Oh, look, there's a little hummingbird moth. It's a clear wing. Neat. This is another one of the flower beds that I started last year and had a lot of things that did not germinate, which I was disappointed by, but very happy that this is it blue butterfly or butterfly blue? I forget, delphinium. So I'm pretty happy with that. And other things in there. Alright, this is bed number 10. In my mind, I keep track of bed numbers so I can keep my garden notes straight. Here I have Florence fennel in the front. Only 3 of about a dozen seeds germinated, so that was a disappointment. But I also have, what am I carrying this bean around for? Carmen, comparing peppers again, picnic pepper, and lipstick. And in the back is Jimmy Nardello. And more alyssum. And then this tomato is, well, actually I don't know how to pronounce it at all. It's a Ukrainian tomato. You can see that. Translation to this is brown ribbed. So I expect it to be a dark, typical black, quote unquote, type tomato. In one of the tomato groups that I'm in, I joined a swap where people are growing varieties that originated in the Ukraine, and then we're all going to send in the seeds we collect and then get some back. So it's like a big swap for Ukrainian seeds. So that's one of my contributions to it. This tomato, Boshkovich, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. That's a Russian tomato, and I picked that long before all the political stuff started because it's an early tomato. But so far I have not harvested anything from it. And as you can tell, I don't remove suckers except for the bottom. I usually remove the leaves from the bottom, but I need to do it again on that one. But I just let them go. If it gets too dense in there, then I'll remove some stems, but for the most part I just leave them go. And this is one of the places I planted the cucumbers earlier today, so they'll grow up my arch. This is dwarf Siberian kale. I'm comparing it to the kale that I usually grow. I pulled the 2 kinds of lettuces that I grew here, Little Gem and Jericho. I'm testing 4 lettuces this year to see what I like best, and so far I like them all. But the Little Gem that I normally grow did germinate before, or did bolt before the others. And the Dragoon that I've grown once or twice before has thicker leaves, and I do like that. This is Gigante de Inverno, Giant of Winter spinach, and I'm letting it go to seed so I can collect some seed. And this is another bed of flowers to attract pollinators and predatory insects. And then I had some alyssum planted here last year, and I left it there purposely to see if it would self-seed, and it did. So I got some self-seeded things in there to fill in where the other things didn't germinate. And last year, I'm pretty happy about this. I planted, or I tried to start cardinal flower seeds, and they didn't start by winter sowing them. So I just spread some seeds in the soil in the late spring or early summer, and they didn't germinate then either, but I'm really tickled to find that they finally germinated. I thought that was more of my white turtlehead plant, but it's not. The white turtlehead plant was in that general area, and I dug up part of it and put it here. I've decided I'm turning these 3 beds that I haven't planted the last couple years, because they get a good bit of shade. I'm turning them into flower beds of mostly natives. So I have some plants, well, those aren't native, but these are natives. So I have some plants. Some of these were plants that we grew at our old house that we put in a clearing in our woods that we turned into a field until we were ready to plant them somewhere, and then we didn't weed them and they just became overwhelmed with weeds. So I did dig some of them up this spring, but there's weeds and stuff in that I need to keep pulling out, so I don't introduce as many weeds into my beds as I would if I just planted them directly. But I need to get working on these beds. And then these plants, this plant I bought, and then the other plants were generously donated to me from a friend, so really happy about that. And these are just other plants that need to go somewhere that I haven't decided. And empty pots that got daisies and weeds and stuff in. And then this, I need to get busy weeding this. Last 2 years I did a good job of keeping it weeded. There's moss underneath all of that. And when I have the other things out and you just see a blanket of moss, it's gorgeous. And someday I'll have a bench there, so I can sit here in these broken chairs, which will someday be the bench, and enjoy looking at my garden. And I located the bench here because it's shaded by the house. That way is south and that way is north, so we get a good shadow from the house there. And to show, you can clearly see the difference between what normally gets sun and what normally gets shade, and all these moss and interesting plant lives or whatever they are growing here. I don't know what this is yet, I haven't identified it. But all of the beds have different types of mosses and stuff, and you can see that there's a lot of different species in there, but I haven't, like I said, I haven't worked on identifying them yet. This is another of the beds that I turned into flowers. Same thing, some things didn't germinate so well, so I need to work on getting those into shape. This bed needs to be, needs some work. This is the white Russian kale. This is the variety I normally grow. It tastes really good all through the summer. A lot of varieties, I understand, don't taste so good in the summer, but this one always does for me. And I pull off leaves every now and then during the summer and chop them and freeze them so I have them for the winter. But I ran out of my containers that I freeze in, so I haven't harvested in quite a while, and it definitely needs it. Here are 2 kinds of lettuces that are bolting. This one was Newham. It's supposed to be similar to the little gem that I normally grow. It did bolt a little bit later, but not that many days later. The leaves might be slightly thicker, which I liked. I'm not crazy about how thin. Not crazy about lettuces that have really thin leaves. But I don't know, I still liked it and the others. This one is bolting too. It just started a few days ago. This was the last one to start bolting. This one is called, oh heck, what is this one called? Oh, Jericho, that's right. This one's Jericho. It's supposed to have been bred to grow, where was it? Somewhere really hot. Somewhere in the Middle East, really hot. It was supposed to be bred for growing in heat. But it did bolt, but just a few days ago it started, and like I said, it was the last one of the 4 varieties that I grew to bolt, and I do like the flavor. It's held its flavor longer. And then there's more spinach of the same variety that I'm letting go to seed. And this tomato plant, I don't know how to pronounce this one. Let's look at the label, see if I can sound it out. Azoicha? I don't know, it's a yellow tomato. I usually don't like yellow tomatoes. I find them very bland and often mealy, but a lot of people rave about this one. in the tomato groups and stuff, so I thought I'd give it a try. I did grow it many years ago when I grew all like 15 different yellow tomatoes, but I don't remember that one specifically. So, trying it again. Okay, almost done here. These are Elsa Craig exhibition onions. I'll probably be harvesting them in the next few weeks. We'll see how long it takes for them to die down. These seeds were older seed. I forget if they were from last year or the year before, but they were older seeds. They germinated, I think, about the same time as the others. This is the same variety, Elsa Craig exhibition, but these were new seeds that I bought this year. So these ones definitely did better than the older seeds. I know they say that onion seed loses its I can't think of the word, germination ability the older it is, but I found they germinated pretty well. It's just that they don't grow as well afterward. So that was interesting to see that experiment firsthand. This is where my garlics were. I had 3 different varieties of garlic that I grew: German white, Siberian, which are the 2 that I normally grow, and also chestnut red, which I won't grow again because I didn't care for it as much as the other 2. But I pulled them in early July, so I had a whole bunch of extra basil plants, so I just thought instead of composting them, I'd put them here. So these are the tower kind that I have in the other bed, the Greek kind that I have in the other bed. This is Tulsi or holy basil, that row. And they must have been 2 awful stressed because one's already setting seed. Then I have more summer savory on the corners just because they were extra. I had some extra peppers. I don't even remember what they were. I just stuck them in. Actually, that's not true. This is juniper, and that's Italian frying, I think it's called. And these are provider beans. I just wanted a few. I have plenty of pole beans, but I really like these for dilly beans. And then I sowed some more cilantro here. No, more dill. I sowed more dill here. Yesterday, and I sowed more cilantro in the back of one of those beds. I don't remember which one right now. I'd have to check my notes. So anyway, that's my garden. Not seeing as many bumblebees this year, which is disappointing. I am seeing butterflies, but not nearly as many as I normally do. But got off to a slow start because my winter sowing things germinated later than they normally do. There's my raccoon planter. But these are things that I still have. Some of the flowers I had to start a second time. Some of these I really need to get planted, like the flowers. Some basils for a friend, and extra chives if anybody wants some almond chives. And these are native, Pennsylvania native plants that my husband had some old seeds for, so I started those for him. So that's what we got. It'll look better once the fescue is mowed and all those dried stems are chopped off. But that's where we are. And this is what I use for mulch, if anybody wonders. Pine shavings from Tractor Supply. I like the thinner ones. What do they call it? Fine. And they have some that are bigger pieces that come in white packaging. I use that in my dog run area where they go outside to go bathroom. So that's what we have. If you followed along, thanks for watching. Bye.